everybody. Welcome inside the Birds Gymnasium. First serve coming here in the 5th place game consolation final, and it goes to a service ace for the Caravan. I'm Jared Brown, joined by Tom McCabe. We're streaming live USports Men's Volleyball National Championship Day 3. How are you doing today, Tom?
Doing very well. Great to be back here. Final day of action. We've had a terrific first 2 days, and now excited to see these two teams battle it out after both teams showing a much better performance in their consolation semifinals compared to their quarterfinals on day one.
This is a quick 2-0 lead for Montreal. Yeah, it was a good bounce back day for both teams. Montreal lost a heartbreaker up 2-0 and then lost in 5 to McMaster. And then it was UNB who somebody just got overwhelmed by UBC. Speaking with UNB, I think they felt they didn't play their best in the first 2 sets, but were really getting rolling into the third. UBC was just too strong on the serve, and we saw that yesterday against Alberta too. So not much shame there, but they did play much better yesterday in a victory against Queens. It's Brad Stewart getting the kill, first point of the day for UNB, and it'll be the setter, number 12, Kent Doucette from Tignish PEI, who will go back to serve the 4th year.
Doucette was the AUS Championship MVP. We mentioned, yeah, UNB having a much better day yesterday compared to when they played UBC. They hit -51, -051 against the UBC Thunderbirds, who obviously are in tonight's championship matchup. A great bounce back against Queens. They hit 326, 9 aces. Ryan Colpitz, number 9, he led the way, 16 kills.
Yeah, I think Colpitz had a much better performance yesterday than Friday, and he gets the set here and gets his first kill of the day as he wipes off the block of Chancy. And the interesting thing about these two teams playing for 5th is that, you know, with the interlock schedule, and next year now the conferences are combining into one, but you know, these two teams have played each other quite a bit, so there's a lot on the line here, and kind of that last chance to play each other, last bragging rights between the two teams.
Yeah, absolutely. Montreal coming out with the upper hand in the 3 matchups they've had this year. One of those games did go to 5 sets, so UNB has shown they can stick around with this very talented, very experienced Montreal team.
Yeah, Dagenet there gets the kill in the middle, and this is his final game of his USports career in his 5th year. And obviously McCarthy and Colpitz in the same situation for UNB, and you want to end your career in style. You want to go out with a W. Serve taken there by Duncan off the net. Ooh, Doucette tries to bump set, and Chancy simply waiting there at the net, just flushes it down. So this is the first of 3 games we have for you today. This is the consolation final. After that, we'll have the bronze medal with Mac and Alberta going head-to-head. And then it's UBC and Trinity Western in the final. So it should be a great slate of games today. McConnell, nice pass. Doucette, middle. And Dagenet, enough to slow it down. Then Dagenet is going to go up and attack it, but it's soft block back to the Montreal side. Chancy finds Dagenet, slowed down at the net there by McCarthy. Dug up by the libero Duncan. Doucette outside. McCarthy's tip. Dug up there by Veron Trudel. Chancy, pipe. And that's right out of bounds. Looked like it was going to just clip the end line, but it did go just long. So a miss hit there by Carrier.
As we see number 16, Brad Stewart going back to serve. The AUS All-Star this year in his 2nd year at UNB. Great job on Dagenet slowing down that hard middle attack, which we've seen give a few other teams trouble this weekend. Stewart obviously a bit undersized compared to the intimidating presence of Dagenet.
Stewart from Wolfville, Nova Scotia. I've actually been there.
Oh.
Yeah, it's not too far from Halifax.
Is that where Acadia is located?
It's a good question.
Yeah, it's close to there.
I think that could be right. That sounds right.
Another interesting note for UNB, not only would it be great for them to get a win against Montreal today and be their first over the Carabang this season, but it would be the highest finish ever for the program in their history. They've never been able to make it past the quarterfinal here at the USports National Championship. They were 6th in 2016. So they've made it to this game before, but never been able to come away with the 5th place titles. We see a great block there on the outside from McCarthy.
McCarthy gets the block one-on-one of Veron Trudel. They've closed the gap to 1, 6-5, as Colpitz will continue to serve. Mentioned how this is the final game for Ryan Colpitz from Fredericton, so hometown product. His spin serve, passed up there by Francilion. Back row to Veron Trudel, cross court, and that just finds the sideline.
Some nice aggressive serving though early on from the varsity Reds. Putting Montreal in a little bit of trouble. Gonna be really key to try to keep Montreal on their toes a bit when they're serving.
Duncan with the pass, pipe to McConnell. Miss hit long. Point there for Montreal. I think all three outsides really had a much better performance yesterday against Queens. McConnell, I kind of was discussing in the first 2 games that they've played here that, I think he really has a high ceiling, potentially, looking at long-term senior national team style potential. He's a big player. He can pass, attacks well. He has won the Maple Leaf with that youth program, only in his 2nd season, so they have big expectations for him with the Varsity Reds. McCarthy, 5th and final season, last game of his career, dug up there nicely by Colpitz. McConnell bumps that. Compagner just puts the ball over. Outside to Veron Trudel, and McCarthy with the dig. McConnell left side, dig up there by Riopel. Chauncey all the way outside for Ron Trudel. Great set. Another dig by McCarthy. McConnell bumps it, and it's Colpitz coming out of the back row. Dig up again there by Riopel. Veron Trudel cross court. McCarthy, his 3rd dig of the rally. Doucette, back row. Colpitz off the top of the hand. A diving save by Carrier, and Veron Trudel can't come up with it. Our longest and best rally early in this match.
Terrific defense out of the back row from McConnell. Or McCarthy, sorry, but just going back to the point made about McConnell, he was a player who struggled first half with a lot of injuries. He wasn't very active on this Reds roster, so I know it was great to have him back for the home stretch of their season. He was 2nd in the AUS in kills per set, as well as hitting percentage. So like you said, a nice bright spot going forward for this Varsity Reds team.
Yeah, they do still have some pieces in place for next season. There will be a lot of offense to make up for with Colpitz and McCarthy graduating, and then on the Montreal side, there are quite a few 5th-year players as well. So all these players, even though it may only be for 5th, there's a lot on the line here, a lot of pride between the 2 teams who've played against each other all season, and so knowing that it will be the last game of your career as a 5th-year. And to be fair too, a lot of times we don't know for sure if the 3rd and 4th and 2nd-year players and even 1st-year players will be back, right? Sometimes not everybody plays their full 5 seasons. Sometimes people can potentially finish their schooling before their career is done. There's a net violation there.
Looked like Doucette just sort of clipped it. His pass was a little bit tight, trying to go up and fight that ball, keep it on his side. Nice set result, but just unfortunately a little bit on the net.
We have a timeout here by UNB. Coach Dan McMorran, his 14th season at the helm of UNB. He's a former UNB team captain himself, so a nice connection of his alumni. And had the opportunity to get to know Dan a little bit the past few seasons with work in the national tournament, and he really is, seems like a really great guy. It's tough. UNB, you're pretty far away from the rest of the volleyball in the country, right? And I know that Drew Duncan, who is from Winnipeg, so somebody that I know fairly well, and speaking with his parents yesterday, they have some issues sometimes with the travel, right? It can be tough, and I know that even getting here for this championship with the weather, I guess the big nor'easter that is kind of going on right now, that they had some issues and a lot of early mornings and late nights with the travel, and we kind of take it for granted sometimes. In Winnipeg, it's not even like it's a huge airport, but still traveling is, it's an international airport, right? And traveling is not too difficult. For yourself being in Toronto, you probably don't have too many issues with the travel, but when you go to those far extremes sometimes in some smaller places, I know that it can be difficult, and you take that for granted sometimes, just how much work that actually is. And they'd mentioned how Memorial's program, not continuing this season, and how much that that bus ride, I guess, to get to Memorial, and it's every conference is a little bit different, right? And you Tom being with Ryerson last season, knowing how the OUA works, and everybody, I think everything's a bus, right? There's no flights at all in the conference.
No, the only flight they will take is sometimes to Thunder Bay.
Okay.
But that is just for the girls team.
Right.
Any team that plays Lakehead. Sorry, for volleyball-wise, they only have a women's program now. But yeah, that's the only instance where there will be a flight involved. Everything else is bus rides. So the longest one is going up to beautiful North Bay, Ontario, to take on Nipissing. But yeah, we're a lot more luckier just to have quicker travel times and a lot more teams. Whereas you mentioned it can be tough trying to be UNB, and if you want to have exposure, I know sometimes they travel to Manitoba this winter to play in the U of M tournament.
Yeah, I saw them at the Westman Classic, and last year they actually played some exhibition games at U of M. I think Mac was there as well. And yeah, it's for myself, the experience in Canada West, when I was coaching, and now that's going back 10 years, but when I was coaching, we we flew everywhere. The only places we bused pretty much were Brandon, which came in later. They weren't there in the first few years, and we bused to Regina, but we used to fly to Saskatoon. So Saskatoon, Calgary, Edmonton, Vancouver, Langley, everywhere we would always fly. So it's a very different, that's a lot of, that makes a big difference, right, in your preparation for matches and travel time and how much class you have to miss, obviously, and that's a big thing. These are student athletes, right? And so it's every conference is a little bit different in the way things that come together.
Yeah, absolutely.
McConnell, spin serve, hit long. Point back to Montreal, 14-10.
I mean, another thing that's sort of interesting to note is that you talk about these two programs and how it's great they both made it to nationals. UNB now here for the 3rd straight year after capturing 3 straight AUS titles. It's their 4th appearance in the last 6 years, but you look at a team like Montreal, they can draw from a student body of over 60,000. They got close to, I believe 67,000 students total, whereas you look at UNB, they're around 12,000, so it's a much smaller student body to draw from. But nonetheless, great job by both these programs fighting their way and earning their spot into the national tournament.
Yeah, I believe Montreal, one of the largest universities in the entire country. Brad Stewart with the ace. Now going back to serve again will be Stewart. 2-point game here, 14-12, UNB trails. Stewart, tough serve. Campagnier with the attack, but soft block by Chauncey. Dug up there by Carrier. Chauncey on the run, outside Francilion, and huge block, Ryan Colpitz, one-on-one. Big time stuff block there, Ryan Colpitz.
Great patience by Ryan Colpitz, waiting to see what Chauncey's going to do with that one. He was pulled over, looking like he was going to sort of go for that, either that overload set, or maybe even dump it being in the front row, but Colpitz just waiting there, going up, shutting the door on Francillon.
Finds the line on that attack. 15-13. So we're 1 point away from the timeout. Dagenet serving. Interesting that you talked about 3 straight titles for the AUS titles for UNB. When I was around, it was basically a given every year that Dalhousie would be representing the conference, and UNB has changed that narrative. I think there was only one season when I was coaching, and there was only one time in that whole run where, like in the history, that Dalhousie hadn't won, didn't win the conference, but they hosted nationals that year. So they were basically on like a 20-year stretch, I think. And I think it's good for both programs to have that competition, right, and be motivating that way, and to be able to go back and forth against each other. And I think the interlock has helped a lot with both of these conferences to be able to play each other more regularly. And it'll be interesting to see as they're continuing to evaluate the format for this championship as to how to find the best representation for all the conferences and make sure to have the highest quality tournament. And those decisions will be made in the near future, I'm sure. It's continually evolving. Peignot in the middle finds the end line. Side out Montreal, and we will head to the technical timeout. 16-14 Carabin. 2-point lead here in this first set of the consolation final USports Men's Volleyball National Championship.
Like we mentioned earlier, UNB Memorial now losing their program. Seen a lot of Dalhousie Tigers through the year, and yeah, Dalhousie known for sort of having that East Coast dominance. I know this year, all the major awards, Coach of the Year, MVP, Rookie of the Year, all belonging to a Dalhousie Tiger member. But UNB, they had a 4-11 record, not the best regular season mark, but they went into playoffs. They took down a very good Dalhousie Tigers team, a team that, they saw themselves in the national rankings a few times. They popped up in the honorable mentions, and I believe they've been ranked 10th for a little bit, but UNB went out, they beat them 2-1. They had lots of regular season matchups to play against each other, obviously being the only 2 remaining teams in what will be the final AUS season, or final season of just solely the AUS.
It'd be interesting, I haven't heard, just because that was new recently this week that I'd heard about that change, but for women's volleyball, I know there are more teams in each conference if they are going to try to do something similar with them too, or if they will keep those separate. I would assume separate.
Yeah, there's 6 matchups between UNB and Dal this year. They split those matchups 3-3.
Duncan's pass goes into the backboard. Service ace, Montreal. Funny, I heard somebody yesterday, was in the crowd, that why didn't they take those down for the weekend? And I thought,
that would be a lot of work.
yeah, I don't even know if that's possible to just do that for a couple days. And they're up there nice and high. You kind of have to have like the perfect storm of a ball to hit the hoop up there. Nice high ceiling here at Mac's gym. It's actually a really unique, when you look up at the ceiling, it's a really unique style of gym. Like if you kind of compare it to what the norm would be, like the shape and the structure of the roof.
Yeah, just not the flat ceiling you're kind of using. It's almost more of like a dome feel.
It's kind of, I don't know if you've ever seen videos, Tom, from Long Beach State. They kind of have a unique setup, but kind of similar to that a little bit. But it's actually, it's a very big gym because we have the 2 full bleachers on both sides pulled out. You can see how they have three courts worth of practices they could have for volleyball and basketball, which is the norm for most university gyms usually. They need those multiple courts to fit all the practices in for men's and women's volleyball and basketball. Usually always train in the same gym.
Yeah, I remember playing some tournaments here in high school, and you could have like a 24-team tournament and pretty much run the whole thing in 2 days because they just had so many different courts. They've got the field house just a few steps over. That's also home to at least 4 full volleyball courts, I remember.
Smith gym is not too far from here, right down the hallway. They can do a couple there too, right? So, yeah, it's a great setup here in Hamilton, and that's why they've hosted quite a few times over the last few years. And it's an awesome hosting committee here and all the volunteers. It's always good to give them recognition for everything they've done, and I think for a lot of the young volleyball players being here, being a part of it, as McConnell's stack goes into the net, being a part of it as a floor wiper, or a 3-ball system, or anything that's involved to kind of make these things work. It's motivating for them to say, "Wow, this is some amazing volleyball. I want to be playing in this one day, right?" And I'm sure I wouldn't be surprised if there's many stories of current and past USports volleyball players who probably were involved in the championship as a youngster, right? Somebody growing up in Hamilton, or who's hosted quite a few times, and now they kind of saw that vision and say, "Hey, I want to be there one day. I want to play in that situation." And it's a double substitution checking back in here for UNB. Doucette and Colpitz come back on the floor.
I remember growing up in Kingston, Queens hosted national tournament 2012, and I was a volunteer at that.
I was also there doing the webcast in 2012. That was a great tournament. Queens, their highest finish, I believe, there when they finished 4th, lost to Manitoba for 3rd, and Trinity Western defeated the Val in that final. That was a great tournament. Western almost defeated Manitoba in the quarterfinals. A really exciting. Garrett May was just kind of one of those all-tournament style performances that people still talk about.
Yeah.
Drew Duncan with a nice dig. Doucette back row to Colpitz, and falls down in front of Chauncey. Yeah, Carl, speaking of all tournament performances, Carl de Grand Pré that year, he was just untouchable. Like, he was just in a zone there that was just absolutely incredible. Trinity Western was able to weather the storm and get the victory that year back in 2012. That's when I fell in love with Kingston. I always liked Kingston because of the Tragically Hip, obviously. But,
oh yeah.
But just the city itself, that was a great championship. And the gym, I think that was kind of the first year for the new facility too,
that was the real big first exposure for that new gym. They had it kind of locally known. They host the high school championships there now every year. But no, yeah, that was the first time they were able to bring in a national tournament like that, and there was a lot of fans that came through. It's a beautiful facility there.
Yep, and it's neat too because it's kind of underground, right? So the windows kind of actually look down from the street level into the gym. It's always kind of neat.
Yeah, Kingston City kind of got a visit to appreciate its charm. It's a great back row set, but not able to find the floor.
Hard to get to though. I know we had to fly into Toronto and then drive, and there was kind of like an ice storm that day, and they were salting the highway. I guess that's the 403, right?
401.
401, sorry. Okay, I'm not an expert on the Ontario roads, but they were salting it, and we had to go about 30 or 40 stuck behind the truck all the way from Toronto to Kingston. Yeah, and come flying in there. It was Pignot was ready to set the ball, and came flying out of the back row was Cassis. McConnell finds the kill, but since we are just put a final thought on Queens, it was a great coaching career came to an end yesterday for Brenda Willis, 31 years. She was recognized at the All-Canadian Banquet on Thursday. I thought was very classy by Mac and USports to have her come up, and she gave a quick speech at the beginning of the banquet. They went down in defeat yesterday, but really played quite well, I thought, against Alberta on Friday. Weren't able to quite, it was a very close match yesterday, but weren't able to quite get back to that same level yesterday when they lost to UNB 3 straight. But a great season and a great career for Coach Brenda Willis as Pignot gets the kill off of the arms of Colpitts.
And Brenda Willis not only doing a great job with Queens men's volleyball, but just a terrific job in the Kingston volleyball community. She's been heavily involved with Pegasus Volleyball Club, the main club system for youth volleyball in the city, and she's done some tremendous work. Very committed to player development and just seeing the game grow in whichever community she's in.
Pignot back to serve. Passed up there, McConnell off the net. Doucette outside. And a nice cover there by Drew Duncan off the shoulder. And Colpitts comes flying out of the back row. And it's always amazing when you're in the right position at the right time, right spot, the ball seems to find you, right? And when you're not in the right spot, the ball will also find you.
Exactly.
You know, but in the wrong way.
Yeah.
And the ball came flying off the shoulder. Duncan set up. Colpitts came flying out of the back row. Gets the kill. Pipe to Francilion, and leaning the wrong way there was Nick Glynn. And we now have a set point opportunity as Varone Trudel will go back to the line. 24-17, Caraban's lead. We asked our French compatriots here, the announce crew, what is a Caraban, right? We asked them and they kind of said, we don't really know. There's not really a thing, but it kind of means a medical student. That was sort of their best explanation, so.
Yeah, they also went on to say there's a few other names in the RSEQ they don't completely understand. They don't love that some are just colors, you know, the Rouge or the Vert or Sherbrooke, but
yeah, it was actually a funny discussion getting their perspective, and got to know those guys pretty well here over the last couple of days. I think it's awesome that the championships are being offered in both languages. So if you are watching in English and you're thinking you'd prefer to hear it in French, then feel free to switch over. We won't be offended.
Not at all. They're very good at what they do. Former players themselves.
And the kill there finished off by number 7, Yusuf Bati. And Bati only 19, so one of the youngest player with Frederick Zion, both 19 in their first year of eligibility. And we're speaking with our announcer crew there, our French announcer crew. They thought Bati would be a big part of the team moving forward. They really had high hopes for him as a player, and we've seen that in small spurts this weekend as he has come off the bench and played a role. So he finishes off that set there. We are going to quickly step aside, and we will be back with you for the start of the second set in this. Welcome back inside the Burge Gymnasium here in Hamilton, Ontario at McMaster University. Jared Brown, Tom McCabe, been having the call all weekend long as well with Kyle Compo, the three of us combining to bring you coverage here from the 52nd USports Men's Volleyball National Championship. And Tom got the stats run down here after the first set as we hear the old chicken dance rain down upon us here.
Talked a lot yesterday in our two semifinals, Jared, about, you know, plus minus from the service line and how, you know, you're combining your service aces with your service errors and trying to, hopefully you're in the positives with more aces than errors. Both teams kind of in the minus right now. -2 for Montreal, 2 aces, 4 errors. Whereas UNB 2 aces as well, but 3 errors. So UNB sitting a little bit better. And Montreal, a team that I thought kind of struggled from the service line a bit this weekend. I think we're going to have a look at some replays here from the first set.
See a couple plays here from the first. Nice kill there by Stewart. Colpitz out of the back row.
UNB, you know, for being a little bit undersized compared to some of these more physically mature Montreal players, really held their own offensively. They attack hard. They attack up the block aggressively. They blocked also very well. You see that great cover there from Drew Duncan, continuing the rally for his team. May not have been totally ready, but still able to keep it off the floor and allow the rally to continue.
Well, it's interesting when you look at the size and the build of these two teams. Like, you know, you have two big, I would say big, like more above average left sides for UNB, right? But a little bit smaller comparatively to the other teams in the tournament in the other positions. Whereas Montreal, you know, really big and physical in the middle, right? So the opposite of UNB, but a little bit smaller in some the pin positions. But physical, jump well, you know, and it's said they all players come in all different shapes and sizes, all different builds, as far as you know, the capabilities. I mean, we're going to see some of those players on display here later today, right? Where you have, you know, kind of the big hulking style left side, like a Brandon Coppers, right? And then comparatively to somebody like Brar and Sani, who are a little bit smaller but so explosive, right? And that's what makes this so exciting, is there really isn't one type that it has to be, as Veron Trudel comes out of the back row. And I think sometimes too, because players are so big, other players look smaller compared to them, and they're really not small, right? Same thing when you watch, if you watch basketball on TV and you see a guy, oh, he's small. Well, you know, he's 6'4".
Yeah, you see him walking down the street, he seems like a giant, but as soon as he gets on the floor, he seems like he's so much smaller. Just on that last play there, great set by Riopel, jumping out of the back row, taking the second set of hands and really keeping up that speed, firing it out to Veron Trudel for the right side kill.
Peignot goes back to serve. Peignot serve, passed up there by Colpitz, but a great first set. McConnell going to try to get things going offensively here. He was in the minus after the first. And Veron Trudel blocked, and Carrier got a piece, but not enough. And now it will be McConnell who will go back to the service line. We're 1-1 here in the second set. Montreal won the first, 25-19. McConnell, big toss, aggressive spin serve, but just wide. Veron Trudel will now go back to serve. Veron Trudel in his 4th season of eligibility, but I know there were some murmurs here throughout the tournament that not sure if he will be back for his 5th and final season. But hopefully for the sport and for Montreal especially, that he will be back to play his 5th and final year. Like I said, you never know for sure, right? If I know I had a great conversation with Dave Preston a couple years ago about how they honor their 4th and 5th year players on senior night now here at MAC, because just in case, you know, after 4 years they decide not to come back for their 5th, they'd hate to miss out on the opportunity to sort of recognize them for their accomplishments with the program. And if they come back, then hey, you just recognize them again the next year. Nothing wrong with that, right?
Yeah, another more the merrier.
I think it's better to feel over-appreciated and over-recognized than under-appreciated. So I think a good decision by them too. And that's the interesting thing too, just comparatively for, you know, say NCAA to USports, is they are only 4 years, right, where we have 5 years of eligibility here. But if you are wondering, you can't play 4 years in NCAA and then come back and say play a 5th year with USports. Once you finish your eligibility in one sort of institution, that is it. You can't play again. But you could play 3 years and then come here and play 2. That would work. You would still be granted that extra season that way. And there are you know, there are players who have done that, who have gone the NCAA route and then come back to play USports. I think a bit more common on the female side than male in volleyball. You know, I can't speak to all sports, but you know, I think there are a few more opportunities female-wise to go down and try that NCAA route and come back. But
I remember you had that really talented recruiting class coming out of Ontario with the Crush Volleyball Club a few years ago. Andrew Coker, Danny Demidyenko, Lucas Coleman, Stephen Marr, all initially committing to big NCAA programs and then electing to stay home, be closer to their families, and you know, just closer to home, which was nice to see and really helped develop. You know, you think back now, if we hadn't had all those guys in the CIS, what was then the CIS, now USport, if you didn't have them playing, you know, how different that game may have looked, and the amount of talent and skill they just brought to the Canadian University game. And we saw McMaster obviously so dominant through those years, especially in the OUA. They're now a perennial dynasty in the province, and Lucas Coleman just finishing up was absolutely a tremendous career at Ryerson. Had the pleasure of playing with him and getting to know him really well last season with the Rams.
Yeah, Lucas Coleman, arguably the greatest, as far as accomplishment-wise, and the greatest club players in Canadian club history as far as championships. Doing it all as an underage player. I mean, a lot of those victories for Crush, they were all underage, but he was even a year younger than all of them. But I think the big thing, just to put kind of a cap on that, as we see McConnell get a kill on the roll shot, is that for men's volleyball, I mean, year to year, it's basically a toss-up as to if you were to play, say, a tournament, the best 4 NCAA teams and the best 4 USports teams, it would be even. You know, it'd be a toss-up. It would just be year to year of which team could potentially win. And I think that's a feather in the cap of USports men's volleyball, is that, a lot of the results that have happened in the last few years, McMaster this year defeated Long Beach State and Ohio State, and I think it's great that the programs do have that connection where they can play each other. And I know in my time at University of Manitoba that we'd play all the big schools. We played everybody. We played USC, we played Pepperdine, we played Long Beach, we played everybody. And I remember we had played went to the Hawaii tournament one year, which was just, he's trying to talk about experiences in the game and things you remember. When we left Winnipeg, it was -35. When we got to Hawaii, and it was plus 30. It was all in one day.
That's a nice change.
I think a lot of people out there would just assume, if you don't know that, NCAA men's volleyball will be better, and that's certainly not the case. And I think that's why so many of our great players stay home. And I think you'll have some year to year that will go down south and will pursue, but we're right on par, and we're seeing that now at the senior level too, with some of the big wins that Canada has had over the USA. And I think that's a huge part of the success of volleyball in other parts of the world, is that those national teams, they have the opportunity to play each other, right? It's so close. And for us, it's great to have that competition, Canada-USA, to have that friendly rivalry in maybe sometimes not so friendly, but that's good. That's good, right? It's good to have the competition between the two countries and the different universities. As that pipe there, missed connection from Chauncey to Francilion, and Chauncey has a bit of a smile about it, because it's now 9-7 UNB here in this second set.
Yes, that was a bit behind Francilion, but it seems like he almost kind of tripped up on his own feet going into that approach. They share a bit of a giggle.
Great set from Chauncey all the way back to Brown Trudell. Doucette diving dig, and a nice save there by McCarthy. Good scramble play. Brown Trudell, another cut shot. Doucette with another dig. McConnell, high ball set outside to McCarthy. And McCarthy dug up by Francilion. Rio Pell, high bump set outside to Carrier. And Carrier off the top of the hand, dug up there. Kept alive on the UNB side. And that set, not a great one yet. Going to be a ball handling violation. 2 hits. A little bit too much spin on that one from Doucette.
Nice rally from both teams, especially the defense on the Montreal side. Really been impressed with Rio Pell, the libero, for the Carabang all weekend. He is a scrappy defender and really just a big vocal presence on this Montreal side, always encouraging his teammates from play to play. Very mentally strong players. We're going to have back-to-back ball handling errors from Ken Doucette.
We're all squared up now at 9. UNB did have a 2-point lead, but back-to-back points for Montreal, as Varion Trudell will serve again. Ghazi Gadari, first-year head coach with Montreal. He coached Quebec at the Canada Games this past summer in Winnipeg. I had the opportunity to see a lot of those games, and Quebec was a bit of a wild card that tournament. I don't think a lot of people knew a ton about the team yet. A lot of the teams went down to Fort Lauderdale to play in the USA HP, which Team Ontario actually won that tournament as well. I believe they beat SoCal and NorCal to win that title, and then did win the Canada Games against Alberta. See, that ball kept alive by Duncan. McCarthy into the aerial, so that's a string of points now. Unforced errors from on the UNB side, and it's now 11-9. And UNB coach Dan McMorran will call a timeout, but with Ghazi Gadari, speaking with our French announce team, they'd said the players are really liking him this year as head coach, and brings a lot of positivity to the program, and a lot of great knowledge and information. But I think just kind of would probably classified as a player's coach, and we're going to have a chance to see some replays here from the early stages of this second set. 11-9, Montreal leading. Colpitz did a job coming out of the back row there, and that was that play kept alive by Duncan, the first-year libero. In Winnipeg to Fredericton, that's a that's a big change. But much different. But volleyball is volleyball, and that's actually that missed pipe there. They had Sean C. and Frenson had a good laugh after on that one. But so he tripped over the attack line.
Yeah, tripping over the blue line in hockey a little bit.
Right.
It'll always creep up on you if you're not ready.
They always say, "Have a nice trip. See you next fall." 11-9 is the score as we return back to the court, and it's Veron Trudel with the serve. The thing about Veron Trudel that I've noticed, he doesn't really ever hit a ball too often, right? A lot of really good contact. And that's a huge part of being a great attacker, is just that connection you have from hand to ball, right? And that wrist snap, and those are just, but the ability to just always hit the ball cleanly. And I know that I kind of think of Eric Lepke similar that way, and that's why yesterday we had that one, right, that he hit into about the 10th row somewhere there in that first set. He had a good laugh after, like, oh, I don't do that very often. But
on the offensive end for Veron Trudel, definitely easy when you have a setter as good as Sean C. to allow you to keep, but definitely the onus is on him to make sure he's able to hit it. We see it on his serve. He always hits it so well and so cleanly. It's Desjardins going up for the big stuff block.
Nice play there by Desjardins. And I know that the interesting thing about seeing Sean C. play here in person is that he's represented Canada a couple times, and there's been so many great setters, kind of in his age bracket. When they're making those selections, I mean, it's so hard to get down to 2 setters sometimes on teams. But remember that first time he was ever selected with the junior national team program, and he beat out Brett Walsh and some of these guys that really had kind of probably bigger names, especially for me, Western Canada, right? You've seen them play so much, and then everyone kind of, I'm not as familiar with him, right? And is he a good player? And kind of those questions get asked, and seeing him play here in person, you're seeing why he has been selected and why he has got that recognition. Really is a very solid setter and a great athlete out there on the court, and runs a really good offense, as we see on the pipe there. But he just seems really in control, right? Just kind of a good, consistent, calm presence out there. Very positive, not a ton of emotion, and that's so key to have that composure at that setter position. You can't have, it's tough to have a really strong, consistent team if your setter is kind of all over the place, right? You need to have them as that leader out there.
Yeah, I remember a great quote I heard one time from actually Brenda Willis from the Queen's Gales is, your team's only as good as your setter. So you can have great hitters, you can have great passers, but if you don't have a consistent setter who can allow that offense to run smoothly and can dictate the flow of how your offense is going to be, then you could be in trouble. And Sean C., like you said, just a quiet leader on the Carabin side, is sitting in the timeout looking as relaxed as he could be on a Sunday afternoon. Looks like he's sitting ready to do a crossword puzzle, but
that's right.
It's been really fun to watch him play. And you want to talk about players being underage. We talk about Lucas Coleman in the club ranks, always kind of playing up. Sean C. played 18U for the first time when he was just 10 years old. So when I talk about underage players, he has had lots of experience playing against some older players. I think that definitely would have played a part, him making the junior national team so early, so consistently.
As the teams go back to the court, we see the libero Olivier Ropiel just doing a block jump. I guess just in case.
He gets up.
Yeah, he does. He's got some springs.
I know Ropiel definitely has lots of experience at left side. He's a very explosive player, but for the Carabin, he's best suited in the back row. He is just a defensive anchor every game for this squad.
And on the setter, kind of say you're only as good as your setter. I know many times I've had really strong setters as a coach, and sometimes you wish, I wish I had a better hitter to go with that setter, right? It's always, do you want the best setter or do you want the best hitter? I think most coaches will tell you they'll take the best hitter. They'll always, the best hitter can probably kind of do something with the set. They have that ability to fix things. But I'll tell you this, you can't have a bad setter. If you're on a team and you say, well, I'll take a little bit lesser setter to have a better hitter, and then all of a sudden you coach a team and you don't have a strong setter, and you're thinking, oh man, we just can't do anything. Our setter can't set anybody, So ultimately, to be a good team, you can't have any holes, right? And we had kind of had that discussion, and I'm not sure if it was when I was with you yesterday or with Kyle. We talked about how different the sport would be if you didn't rotate. Right, if you could just play a fixed position, and you could choose who your server was, right? You could set it up however you'd like, and it just would be 6-on-6, right? And you can make subs based on those points. So we're going to see some replays here, but how different the game would be if you could do it that style, and obviously it'd be a completely different sport, right?
Right there's that great set from Maria Bell coming out of the back row, keeping that speed to Veyron Trudel. Desjardins been having a great weekend and a great season for the Carabin. The Carabin have just been, at times too much to handle offensively for the varsity Reds. Desjardins doing it on the block as well as on the attack. Seeing some versatility, hitting that 60 as well as the 50 in front of Chauncey. We have the t-shirt toss wrap up here in the Burridge Gymnasium. We'll come back to action. Carabin opened up a bit of a gap here over the varsity Reds. 5 points now.
Well, and we got to remember it was a 9-7 lead for UNB earlier, so it's a big bounce back, a 9-2 run for Montreal. There's that mental math coming in handy again.
Getting better as the weekend goes on.
Pass off the net. Duncan bumps it outside. Off the top of the block, Riopel with the one-handed dig outside. Francilion. Duncan there, comes across, keeps the play alive. Roll shot. Veyron Trudel with the dig outside. Francilion. And he sneaks it through the block of Kolpitz and down.
It's funny you're talking about Chauncey not showing too much emotion. Veyron Trudel almost egging him on to celebrate on that last point. And Chauncey gave out a quick yelp, but yeah, so calm, so composed throughout every match we've seen him play so far. Nice serve.
Randall, miss hit wide. I believe Chauncey is actually the son of the Montreal athletic director as well.
Jean-Pierre. Used to coach some volleyball, so I know he coached Chauncey when he was a younger player. Now the athletic director at the University of Montreal.
And that's got to be obviously a nice situation to be in, to be involved in the university and see your son come through. And he is here in attendance. We did see him earlier this morning actually watching. A big weekend for Montreal volleyball as both men's and women's had qualified, and unfortunately both teams went down in defeat in 5 sets in the quarterfinals. And the women's championship going on at the same time right now in Laval, and also women's hockey, and I believe men's hockey is this weekend too.
Yep.
So that, I guess, would probably be the end. There maybe track and field. I don't know if that's this weekend, track and field too. I mean, everything's kind of winding down to a close here at the USports level as we're getting near the end of the school year. I mean, we're getting close to exams and getting close to winding things up. But I know that Manitoba women's hockey has qualified for the national championship today, and I believe they are playing Western in the final, who is hosting the event. And they won in a shootout yesterday, so
lots of USports action there.
Yeah,
USports awesome. Action fans to check out. I know we kind of get trapped in our little volleyball bubble sometimes, but a ton of talent across the board, and whichever sport you want to choose to tune into. I know the hockey finals are going to be broadcast on Sportsnet, so catch those on beautiful cable television.
And I bet you, I know I saw a stat one time just about how many former USports athletes, I guess used to be CIS, CIIU before that, but how many who represented Canada at the Olympics, were former USports athletes, and not always necessarily in that discipline, right? But a lot of them represented and then went on to something else afterwards, and just a sign of great athletes, right? But it could be somebody, there's not USports bobsled, but a lot of them came through, whether it be in track and field or something else, and then had made the switch afterwards. Jesse Lumsden obviously is the first one that kind of would come to mind, as just somebody who was an incredible running back here at McMaster and had opportunities in the NFL. And Chauncey let that ball just go right over the net. We saw that yesterday with Keterakis do the exact same thing, but Rio Pell saying, that's my kill. We got you. We'll mark it down here somewhere, Olivier. They had some opportunities in the NFL, then went with CFL a little bit, and then made the transition over to bobsled. And it's just a breeding ground of fantastic athletes and great people, right? I know that when you are applying for a position, if you have somewhere on your resume that you are a former university athlete, post-secondary athlete, that just makes you that much more marketable and desirable of an employee, knowing that you've made that commitment and knowing how to operate within a team, and the dedication and being able to balance the schoolwork and the athletics. And you see a nice kill there by Frederick Jeong, who has subbed into the match here. And now we're going to see another substitution checking in to be Yusuf Bati. So we're seeing some of the youth on display here, and maybe a glimpse into the future for Montreal, what their lineup can look like in the next upcoming seasons.
We've also got backup libero Yassine Cassis playing in the back row, number 13 for the Carabin. You've seen him all weekend coming in sort of as a defensive specialist as Francillon gets the ace.
Alexandre Francillon, who's from Cégep Saint-Jean de Richelieu, 24 years old in his 5th season. He's a certificate en communication appliquée. So what would that be, Tom?
It would be,
I mean,
if I'm going to have to go very literal, I think he's got a certificate in applied communication. I would assume that'd be professional communication if I had to give my absolute best guess, but
kind of like a creative communication style type degree or something.
Could be,
potentially. Yep.
Some corporate work, but looking to finish off his career with what could be the last game of his career. As he acknowledges a nice serve and that ball clipping the back line. Francillon looking to finish off and get a 5th place finish here.
Interesting how I'm seeing some fans rolling in that I know are wearing colors of the teams in the bronze medal and gold medal game, and people simply just, with rush seating style, wanting to get a good seat. As Ziong, a soft block, but he kept alive. He had ball put over the net now, and it's McConnell who tips it over, dug up there by Chauncey. Oh, and a fancy play. They went for the highlight reel play and just taking a look over to Gaza Gadari, kind of rubbing his head there a little bit and sort of saying, it's okay, but.
They're laughing about it, Chauncey, to sort of motion to us. Guys, we just need one. It doesn't have to be that fancy. Just need one more.
Yusuf Veron-Trudel out of the back row. Francillon with the cover. Outside to Bati, and Bati gets the kill. Bati, he's kind of the closer. You know, he comes in out of that bullpen at the end of the set and gets a couple kills to wrap things up. So it's now 2-0 Montreal, 25-17 here in the second. We are going to step aside, pay some bills, and be back with you for the start of the 3rd set here at the Burge Gymnasium, McMaster University in Hamilton, Ontario.
Building youth and our nation from coast to coast to coast. Creating enduring legacies, sharing excellence, while enriching Canadian culture and pride. The Canada Games is one of the largest multi-sport events in the world for developing athletes, empowering our next generation of national, international, and Olympic champions. The Canada Games, inspiring dreams and building champions.
2-0 Montreal here as we get back to live action. UNB will try to extend their season by at least one more set. But Montreal has been consistent all weekend long. I mean, really, they were up 2-0 at McMaster, lost a hard-fought 5-set game, and then was victorious yesterday over Windsor, and now looking for that 5th place finish. Came in here seated 4th. McConnell's attack off the top of the hands. And it's Baron Trudel. And Kolpitz coming out of the back row. Duncan, good cover. Kolpitz again. And off the outside, inside hand of Desjardins and down. Doucette now goes back to serve. So see if UNB can get on a roll early here and get some momentum going. Doucette's jump float, taken there by Francilion. Chauncey, middle Desjardins. Gets the kill. Side out, Baron Trudel goes back to the line.
Montreal really running a very balanced offense today. No one sticking out too much or too far ahead of any of their teammates. Francillon with 6 kills to lead the way for the Carabin. Baron Trudel right behind him with 5. Desjardins with 4. So seen Chauncey do a really good job distributing the ball today for the Carabin.
Serve goes long, and then McConnell go back to serve. DJ Jukebox is keeping the fans active here all weekend long. Great atmosphere here at the Burge Gymnasium, and it's about to get even better pretty soon as people continue to roll in for that bronze medal match. I'm sure today I would think that everybody who's coming out for the bronze will also stick around for the final, and they're going to be in for a treat as we have 2 awesome games coming up. Trinity Western UBC will play for gold, but first we'll have Alberta and McMaster playing for bronze, and McMaster is going to try to do something that might be approaching historic territory if they're going to try to medal for the 6th year in a row, which I would have to assume has not been done too often, if at all.
Yeah, some terrific results in the past few seasons. I know they've never been able to capture that gold medal, which they desperately crave, but hats off and just a huge testament to how consistently strong their program is. They've been able to find themselves at least in the top 3 for the past 5 years.
Yeah, there's 2 finals in there, I believe, and then the rest would be bronze medals. Lost to Laval in Laval in the final, and then 2 years ago here at home, lost to Trinity Western. Last year won the bronze medal against UBC, as it was the rematches of the semifinals. McCarthy keeps that alive and takes out the pole pad here. Have to get that fixed. Down official Azad Hossein from Winnipeg. There's one more strap there, Azad.
Missed a spot.
Yeah, you missed a Velcro. 4-3 UNB. Tough serve, Stewart. Passed up by Riopel. Outside, Francilion. And Campagnier with the stuff block.
UNB been a very good blocking team, especially throughout this match. At times we've said Montreal's offense has been too much, but when they're in good position, they make good reads. They've got some big guys in the middle who can jump well. Had some good blocking.
Stewart serve. They go back to Baron Trudel and off the outside hand and out of bounds. He just continues this. He's just a steady presence out there for Montreal. Baron Trudel just gets his kills, goes about his business. Had a great weekend. This whole Montreal team, they've played very well.
And Baron Trudel been the team leader in kills all season. Definitely their go-to guy when they need a point. Both teams going to argue their case. UNB saying they got a touch. Montreal claiming no touch was made on the block. So,
yeah, I thought that was just above the block. Out of bounds. Oh, we got that Velcro fix there. Everything's back to normal here. That serve from Desjardins goes into the net. 6-5 UNB. Kolpitz on the line.
Coming into this game, coming into this tournament, I should say, Montreal team that hadn't lost since January 20th, which is a 5-set, really close competitive match against Laval. And obviously the heartbreaking loss to McMaster in 5 sets, but a team that has played very consistently, especially in 2018.
2-point lead for the varsity Reds. Kolpitz put the serve in play. And it goes off the foot of Baron Trudel, who was trying to get out of the way. You don't see that too often. It does happen though. Those, I mean, serves are coming in so quickly, and he's moving across the back row to try to get in position to hit that D ball. That one hit long again, but this time out of the way, and Gadari and Baron Trudel share a laugh there.
And I dodged that one, Coach.
I remember really kind of memorable play in Winnipeg in the Olympic qualifier years ago, and Murray Grappentine hitting a serve and Clayton Stanley trying to get out of the way and hitting him in the thigh. Canada USA at the senior level, and the whole place just going bonkers, in Winnipeg at the IGAC at U of M. And I mean, it does happen, right? There's nowhere to go.
Yep.
You're on the move. The ball's moving. You're moving, and you're trying to get ready to hit. You're not expecting to pass. I think we saw yesterday there was one play in that Alberta UBC game where Sani was getting ready to hit. He was moving, and the Alberta receivers let the ball go, and he just kicked the ball right up, and they ended up scoring the point.
It's a perfect kick, safe pass.
Yeah, we're going to have a timeout here. Coach Gadari with Montreal trailing 10-6. 4-point advantage for UNB. So teams take a seat on the bench and talk some things over here. Yeah, it's a good, just slow down the momentum of UNB, right? Trying to make sure that this game doesn't get out too far away from them here.
First time really seen UNB kind of pull away a little bit. I think we're going to have some replays from the Carabin. Franz Leon leading the way so far for the Carabin offense. Been a lot more power than we saw. A little more finesse player against Montreal, but showing some good offense here. And John as well, guys come off the bench. Good attacks in the middle. Strong the first year as well. Desjardins, obviously country leader in blocks, but a very physical attacker as well.
Francillion blocked, but it goes back off his face and goes over the other side, so it's a good job on that one, and they get the point. It's amazing when you watch all these games, right? We've been here for every single game of the tournament now. We're kind of seeing like every single way you can possibly score a point.
Yeah.
It's happened over the course of the weekend, right? It just makes sense. I mean, goes up, big swing, blocked by McConnell, goes back off Francillion's face and over the net. Kolpitz comes out of the back row and uses the block of Batty. And I mean, understandably, Montreal, a couple different players out here now, so the momentum changing a little bit to the UNB side. I'm not saying that those new players are playing poorly, but it's just a different vibe a little bit for Montreal. But that serve from Campagnier goes long. Libero Drew Duncan checks back in the back row. Now Desjardins checks back in the front row here for Montreal.
Very strong front row here for the Carabin. They got Baron Trudel and Desjardins, along with the youngster Batty.
McConnell to pass, Doucette goes pipe to McCarthy. Dug up there by Zhang, and then mishit by Stewart. So a bit of a steal there for Montreal. That was an opportunity for UNB to put that one away. Close the gap to 2.
A few times we saw almost at the same score. I believe it was 11-9 UNB. A few sets ago. Went some unforced errors from the Carabin side. Allowed Montreal to kind of close that gap, get back into the matches. UNB just able to duck it away at that one. McCarthy at the last second.
Nice dig there by Egers. So UNB uses that 2 libero system, switching between Duncan and Egers. And Stewart makes up for that miss hit out of bounds with the stuff block on Desjardins. And the 4-point lead is restored here for UNB, 13-9.
Great read on the big man Desjardins in the middle. Going up and shutting the door.
Doucette's serve taken by Batty. Back to Baron Trudel. McConnell and Stewart got a piece, but not enough. It's a little cold in here today, Tom.
A little bit than the last few days we've had, but
it seems like we're right underneath an air current or something.
Feeling
here.
a bit of a draft.
Little chilly today.
Sure, it will feel a bit warmer once we get the packed house and the McMaster faithful in here.
Huge serve, Baron Trudel. And Stewart tried to chase it down, but can't get there in time.
Baron Trudel heating it up for us with that serve. That one had some good pace on it. Continuing, like we talked about earlier in this match, just such a clean connection when he serves the ball. Allows him to get lots of power behind one of the best serves we've seen in the tournament.
That one clips off the top of the tape. And then it's Kolpitz who gets the kill to end the rally. (14-11) is the advantage for UNB with McConnell back on the line. McConnell passed up by Francillon. Chauncey outside, Batty. And he squeezes it through somehow. Kolpitz was there, but just came down the front.
Not enough penetration with the arms over the tape of the net. Letting that one kind of squeak down on their side, find the floor.
I always tell our blockers at a young level there, no block is better than that block, right? We can defend, we can't do anything in the back row if you don't penetrate over the net, right? The ball comes down the front. It's literally the most undefendable ball in volleyball. So if you're not gonna get your hands over, don't block. You see Francillon there with the big swing, dug up by McConnell. McConnell is gonna come out of the back row. Dagenet gets a piece. Réopel with the dig, and they go pipe to Batty, and that scores. We haven't seen that a lot, that run from Montreal, but it looked effective on that one.
That's what I was just going to say. We haven't, mainly only the back row attack we see is from Bayron Trudel on the right side hitting that C or D ball, but in this game especially, we've seen Francillon run a few, and now Batty getting involved on the back row attack.
Well, Batty's spin serve goes long, and it'll be Stewart who'll go back to serve.
Montreal, they'll climb their way back after being down 4 or 5 points there a few moments ago, now within 2.
Stewart's jump float taken by Réopel. Back row, Verellen Trudel just tipped over as the set was tight. Doucette goes pipe to McConnell. Slow down at the net, kept alive. Chauncey goes back row again, and Verellen Trudel, this time it's Doucette, caught leaning the wrong way. Side out Montreal.
Doucette sort of guessing where the ball's going to go. They had a great touch on the block from McCarthy on the outside, but like you said, Doucette sort of guessing where to go, and if he needs to stay just anchored a little bit longer and he can make a better read on where that ball's going, potentially dig it up. Carabin now within 1.
Doucette goes back to Kolpitz. Nice dig, Verellen Trudel. Got an opportunity coming here for UNB. Duncan with the high free ball pass. Doucette quickly outside to McCarthy, and Chauncey gets the block, and we're now just at a 1-point game. Oh, sorry, we're tied now, 15-15, so we're heading to the technical timeout on this next point.
Great defense leading for the opportunity for Montreal to block for that point. Chauncey going up to shut the door on McCarthy on the outside.
Doucette goes pipe to McConnell, and he gets the kill. Side out UNB, and we will head to the technical timeout. 16-15, Varsity Reds.
One of UNB's probably their best set so far in this match. Keeping it very close as we get almost midway through this 3rd set. Trying to push this game into a 4th.
Got the bongo cam here live at MAC. They've done a really good job. I've been really impressed with all the different activities kind of for the fans, especially the youngsters, kind of seeing themselves up on the big screen. And this Litzen Family Scoreboard is a great addition to the Burge Gymnasium here, new since the last time I've been here. But we still have, it's been a great 2 days. We still have a long ways to go, though, as these next 2 matches after this one are the most important games of the whole weekend, the ones going for the medals. And this 5th place game it sort of sets the tempo a little bit for the day. You kind of get this one going, and fans get a little bit excited, and they're kind of working everything in. It's an earlier start today, too, right? Normally we've been starting at 1 o'clock. Today we're starting at 11. For all those who are out for St. Patrick's Day last night, a bit of an earlier morning for those fans.
Yeah, and I know after the loss against McMaster Montreal, the coach, very adamant that his team wasn't deflated. They weren't deterred anyway. They still were excited about the fact they could come out and have 2 more games to play this weekend. They had a great win yesterday, absolutely, dominating against Windsor, winning in straight sets. Windsor obviously a team who made their first appearance ever in program history in this tournament. Montreal was able to get by them. Now they've been playing very well, trying to close out this game against UNB.
So after the timeout, we do have a substitution at Schlatter and Randall who have checked in. This is a substitution they've used quite a bit, UNB. Zhang's attack, dug up by McConnell. Now McConnell's going to tip the pipe over, and it catches the Montreal defense on their heels. 2-point advantage now, 17-15.
Really like that choice there from McConnell coming out of the back row. Had a good approach, but it wasn't a perfect set. He just did what he had to do to get the ball over, continue the rally, but disguise it like it could have been an attack, and almost perfectly placed just over that Montreal block.
Slaughter outside. McCarthy pushed past the pin, and he hits that ball into the aerial. Ball just went a little bit too far on that one. 17-16. UNB still leads with the setter, Gabriel Chancy.
That was a big side out for Montreal, getting Bayron Trudel back into the front row.
Duncan, great pass, outside. Randall, soft block. Campagne with the cover. McConnell, high ball outside to McCarthy, and McCarthy dug up there by a diving Cassis. Now it's Francillion, chance to score. Drew Duncan's gonna step in here and set, and that ball goes just wide. Duncan, a former setter himself before making the switch to libero, which is pretty common actually, I think, amongst, and it gives a great base of skill set, and we're seeing more and more and more of those liberos playing a huge role in that offensive, where they do take a lot of second balls, and if you can't set the ball as libero, it makes things really tough. So I like that it's a good way to start the position, especially with the rules that we have in club where liberos can't start until 17U. It's a good way to transition into the position. We have a scramble rally here coming through, but that ball goes out of bounds. And Rio Pell, he seems like a character out there. He plays the game with kind of fun atmosphere and attitude out there. And we're gonna have a substitution checking in here for UNB, number 2, Nick Glynn, coming out here to pass for McCarthy.
That's a good point you make, Jared, about setters often turning into liberos. You see it a lot through the university level.
And Glynn is actually going to have opportunity to swing here. We've only seen him come out as sort of a defensive specialist role, but they're just trying to get the side out. And now Kopit's attack goes long, so UNB losing some mojo here. They were up 17-15. There's a 4-point run for Montreal, and Coach McMorrin will call timeout. They need this set. They need to win the third to try to advance to at least a fourth, because they're down 2-0 here.
Got a few unforced errors on behalf of the UNB varsity Reds, and some really good defensive scrambling and blocking play up at the net. Excuse me, for Montreal.
We're going to see some replays here from the match as it's 19-17, approaching the later stages of the third. That's the ball from Francillion on there that went off his face, and then they end up earning the point later in the rally.
Earning 2 points himself, one with the face, one with the block. Bayron Trudel just been such a consistent attacker, huge weapon for the Carabane offense to go to all season long and all throughout this tournament. He does a little nice dance. He's been dancing it up on the court this morning, keeping it loose on the Montreal side. So they're going to try to extend this lead.
Duncan, nice pass. Back row, Kopitz. And a great dig by Cassis, but the Montreal block was on the net. It's interesting, Cassis from Tunisia in his first year, but Rio Pell only in his second, so that'd be a great defensive specialist option they're going to have for the next few years. And they've used him quite well in that role. And a nice job there by Bayron Trudel, finishing off that rally in style.
For number 14, Kompanger in the middle for UNB. Got him wait just a little longer. I know it's tough when you have such a dangerous presence on the outside as well as in the middle, Zhang, but just guessing and leaving poor Ken Doucette out there all by himself against big Bayron Trudel, is easily able to take advantage of the one-on-one.
Nice set there by Cassis, but oh, and it is off the touch. Didn't see the touch at first, but nice kill there by Bati. It's now 21-18. As the Backstreet Boys rain down on the crowd here. 3-point advantage, and Coach McMorrin will call timeout. And I think the best part about the accessibility that we have here is for those who aren't able to make it out to watch in person, right? That people from all over the country and all over the world can tune in. You know, I know that I've been speaking with a couple family members of some of the players back home, and you know, Drew Duncan's sister watching, and people just checking in with you and saying, hey, it's awesome that you guys have these games on. And you know, I think that's the evolution of where we've come to in the game, right? Where every single game all year long, and so many more athletes now deciding to maybe play away from home, right? And parents can't get out to every single game, and wanting to support, and former coaches, you know, and friends and teammates and people that want to watch, and the accessibility, and you know, just growing the game, right? Having more people see it, and the more young players who can see the game and have kind of a role model. And you know, for a lot of guys here, as that ball served long, you know, there's these players serve as, you know, they're kind of the standard for the younger players in their communities, right? That where they're striving to get to. They want to play. They want to be a future varsity Red or Caribbean, right? These are the players they look up to, and you know, getting autographs and following them on Instagram and watching their highlights and all that stuff. And that's great. So we have a free ball opportunity here for UNB. Colpitz out of the back row, but a big time stuff blocked there by Bati. And I think we're seeing why we heard, you know, that buzz about why they feel Bati will be such a big part of this Montreal team moving forward, as he's come in and played a big role for the team.
Yeah, very physically mature player for only being in his first year of eligibility in USports, having somewhat of an advantage going through the SAGEP system, but jumped right onto a team that ended up being the best blocking team in the country statistically. And he joins right on in, helping that stat out with a big block a few point ago. Varsity Reds are doing a good job, clawed their way back in within 2.
UNB's going to need a run here, though. They can't just keep siding out. They need some holds. So they're down 2 points. Late stages of this set. And again, for the second time, this time it's Veron Trudel who makes it happen, but soft blocked off his head and kept alive. And now Veron Trudel is going to swing off the hands of McConnell. Doucette back to Colpitz. And Colpitz dug up by Francilion with one hand. Outside, Bati, a bit out of rhythm. Kept alive, goes back off the dig, and Veron Trudel simply puts it down at the net. Missed opportunity there by the Varsity Reds.
Great defense in the back row from Montreal, keeping that rally alive. Riopel fired up about that one. Carabane now within 2 points of a 5th place finish here. Very respectable 5th place finish, and a very talent-heavy USports national tournament.
We were giving Veron Trudel a lot of credit earlier about how he never hits the ball, and because we did that, he hit that one a bit underneath the ball and had a bit of backspin on it.
Make sure to apologize about that after the match.
Yeah, the webcaster's curse. And a service ace, well hit there. It's Connor McConnell. 1 point ball game, 23-22, and Coach Ghazi Gudari will call timeout. UNB showing some fight here, not going away quietly into the night, wanting to extend their season and battling for this consolation final. Montreal and UNB, 23-22.
Definitely going to need to have a hold at least coming out of this time. If they can tie it up at 23, be a lot more comfortable than, you know, having to fight off with at least 1 or 2 set points.
John, I think we're going to have a chance to see here that we got it queued up. It's Veron Trudel, who maybe this is something Montreal practices. Is they don't think they can score, is hitting the ball off the block and then off the face, keep it alive. See here, big swing. Oh, that one's just right off the block. Pretty funny how he's seen that twice. There it is right there. I mean, it's a great block, right? If you're UNB, you're thinking, what more do we need to do to score a point here? We've got these guys a couple times. So out of the timeout, it's McConnell who will serve.
Problem Veron Trudel gets up that high. He's just hanging in there and able to cover himself with his head.
McConnell almost fell after the serve. I think he got caught up on the libero Eagers. I'm not sure, something happened there. Out of the corner of our eye, we could just see him almost taking a tumble. So we now have match point opportunity after that kill, and it's Bati who will go to the line. 24-22 Montreal. UNB needs side out here. Bati passed up by McConnell off the net. Doucette, high ball outside. It's actually just going to be put over by McConnell. Chauncey, Francilion, and Francilion will end his career with the kill. Montreal defeats UNB 3-0 to claim the consolation final, 5th place at this USports 2018 National Championship. Congratulations to both teams on fantastic seasons. It was a pleasure watching them compete all weekend long. But a special congratulations to Montreal for having a good weekend. Whenever you win more games than you lose on a weekend, it's never bad, right? Rebounded after that tough loss with a big win yesterday and come out with a 3-0 victory today.
Absolutely, a very respectable 2-1 weekend for the Carabang, for the reigning AUS, 3 straight titles for the UNB Varsity Reds, getting lots of experience here at the national championship, so won't be expecting to see them go away anytime soon. Lots of respect between these two teams. They've seen a lot of each other this year. This was their 4th matchup. Montreal able to come away with the sweep on the season, 4 wins and no losses.
So that will wrap things up for us here in this consolation final. It's just past 12:15 local time. The bronze medal game will be broadcast here again at 1 o'clock. It's McMaster and Alberta. We will step aside for now and be back with you at the top of the hour.
First,